Absolutely. And that's actually, so I was trying to figure out how do I connect that. So what I was thinking about was how we nowadays are breaking the generational trauma of our parents, of our grandparents, of our great-grandparents. And so it's not, I don't want to say the mistakes that our parents made, but let's think about it this way.
What's up with it, world? Y'all already know what time it is. It's Mouth for the South, Corey Wolf.
I'm Brandon Walton, co-host and one half of Tapped In. And today we got two special guests. We got Jesse and his wife, Bailey, or Brittany, depending on how she's working. They came through today.
Hello.
To bless our podcast.
Yes,
so we
sir,
appreciate
yes,
y'all
sir.
coming through today.
Appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. Excited for it.
I know we've been talking about it anytime I come to the barbershop, so it's a great opportunity to help out.
Yeah,
Right,
for sure.
right.
Yeah.
Man, you know, like we tell people all the time, like you don't know who you helping by, playing a part in this whole situation. You don't know who, there's so many couples out there that's, interracial, and whatever we talk about on this podcast is going to be helpful for them. So, that's how I look at it, man. You can help with a platform. Sometimes you don't have to be out there protesting. You don't have to be out there, whatever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be physically there, but you can do it through people they're gonna stroll through YouTube or whatever.
Yeah,
Yep.
using
Yep.
your voice and your story.
That's what's up.
Absolutely.
Whatever y'all going through is 100,000 people going through the
I
same
promise
thing.
you.
Yeah.
No matter how bad you think it is.
But
Yeah.
just think, you know what I'm saying? You got people that might be wanting to give up on a relationship, or they might be wanting to give up in life, period, because of whatever they might be facing, because the world have an opinion about it. And then something y'all say might make them say, nah, fuck that.
Well,
You know what I'm saying? Like, for real, I told you I was gonna cuss. You know what I'm saying?
God, he got that out of the way. Mouth of the South, y'all. Excuse him. Y'all know I'm gonna cuss.
Yeah. But, that's just what it is. But
Do y'all look at like YouTube videos or anything for like tips on marriage? Or I be looking at YouTube videos.
Absolutely. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, I am on everything. Just looking at a bunch of different sources because it's good to get a lot of different perspectives, not just the one that is going to make you feel good and validate who you are and where you come from, but where you want to be in your life, right? Where you want to go to.
yeah.
And something that I want to actually piggyback off what you say is a lot of people are not able to be accepted for how they choose to live or who they choose to be nowadays. And even simple, just as this, right? Wearing a different color hair, it bothers a lot of people because for them, they're not able to be who they want to be or who they desire to be because of whatever reason. And so this is where for individuals like us, especially in situations like this, relationships like this, we get to really, like you said, share a voice and give people who are looking for their voice
Help
a
them
voice
build their confidence.
to listen to. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
Do
like
you look
that.
through the videos too? Are you on all social media apps checking out like relationship hacks and stuff?
yeah, I mean, even, how internet works, like after a while, it kind of catches on, especially like TikTok and Instagram. They catch on to what you're watching on a regular basis. And so there's times where I'm scrolling through TikTok in the middle of the night and I'm sitting there and I'm like, it hits something to me and I'm like, dang, I need to actually think about that. Like most people sit there and they get upset real quickly and they're like, nah, that's not me. And it's like, nah, I'm one of those where I have that awareness where I'm just like, it hits me and I'm like, all right, nah, I do need to work on that because that is something that I need to reflect on because I know I do this on a regular basis. Or there's times where I'll just send it to her and then she'll hit me up a couple days later because I know her schedule's busy and she's like, hey, I really like that video you had sent me. And or she'll just hit hard on it. And so I'm like, I appreciate
That's how we
that.
do too.
Yeah.
But you got to be transparent, though. You have to be. You know what I'm saying? Especially in this day and age, everything is, so diverse.
Right.
But, I was just thinking about something you just said, man, that kind of like made me think like, how do you feel about like, when it's certain things that you may hear or that might be more correlated to, let me just ask you this question right here.
Okay.
This will make more sense. With you two guys being together, you're in an interracial relationship. How do you guys relate to Black Lives Matter type situations? Like when those type of situations, like how do y'all help each other get through that? Because you know what I'm saying, you're white, right?
White.
Spanish,
Actually, yes.
That's why
He looked there a little bit like, I might be a little quick or something. Little razzle-dazzle.
Absolutely. So I'm mixed Hispanic, Mexican, and white.
Okay.
So I look more white, especially with a hairstyle like this, right? And so in situations, let's say we go out to a bar, a club, and I'm dressed like this, I look like this, right? People are not going to associate us being together.
Right.
They're not going to look at us as being a relationship or in a relationship. And so there can be times, oh my gosh, early on in our relationship, we had a lady yell at us at a bar, yell at him at a bar.
Right.
And well, we weren't even actually in a relationship at that point. We were just friends. And
Oh, you talking about the one who called me called me an N-word.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah, that was she got me mixed up with somebody else in the bar. And literally, I'm looking at the guy and he's looking back, and they had a bucket. And so she's like, "No, you bought a bucket of beer," and I'm like, "No, I didn't. Like, I'm driving tonight. Like, it was a 30-minute drive." So I was like, "No, I didn't come here to drink."
Yeah.
And the guy on the other end literally has a bucket right in front of him, and I'm like, "It's him down there." And then also, she just walked. Her manager came up, and I think right as he was like trying to calm her down, she ends up calling me a nigger. And so, so it just, that was before we even started dating and all that.
But even then, that was a situation that I stood up for him, because that's not a situation you want anyone to be in. For someone like me, I'm not going to be in someone like him, like y'all's shoes at all, ever in my lifetime. And so the most that I can ever be is an advocate and an ally. I can't put myself in a situation like this and say, okay, I know what you're going through. This is how I can help you.
Right.
No, this is how I can sit there and say, okay, what is the opportunity for education? Right. Because a lot of the times,
situation for you at that time.
It is.
Right.
It is.
I love that she coming so real and like that.
Yes, because it's not his job. It's not y'all's job. It's not the Black community's job to teach us at all. It's not the community, even my community's job to teach y'all information. It's your information or your personal job to gain that information, to learn that information.
Right.
And so every opportunity is one that I can learn from, but also learn how am I further supporting the community and my husband as well.
Right.
Because there's times, oh gosh, I was visiting family this last weekend, and my dad was talking about, I am all for Jesse and all here for Jesse. And he was like, I will call out situations now where they're talking about Black folks and they're saying, racist comments about them. And he says, I'll sit up and say, absolutely not. My son-in-law is Black. And he was like, if I can change my values and my beliefs to accept this person and as my son-in-law, so can you. Right. So can you.
Real.
So can you.
People have a choice. People have a choice to be the way they are, man.
So when you first got together, was that an issue for you guys with your parents?
My parents growing up kind of knew, or I'd been in different interracial relationships before.
Right.
I know deep down inside, it's like, why don't you marry someone just like, or be in a relationship with someone just like you? But after a while, my parents, growing up in church and whatnot, I don't care as long as that person's treating you well and you're happy. Like, that's all we care for. That's plus you still have your foundation, which is us as God and going to church. And so that was always a thing with us. But as long as I'm happy, I mean, my mom.
So the color is not a PowerPoint on how you love a person, really. That don't matter.
Right.
The love, it overrides all that pretty much.
Yeah.
What about for your parents?
It was a little bit of a struggle at first, but I think more so because my mom didn't want me to get married young, and we had gotten together when I was 19. And so she had this very big goal for me for the long time of not getting married and not having a child before I was 25.
Right.
We ended up getting married when I was 23, going on 24. And so that was...
I moved out at 30. So we got married. You were 25. I was
24 going on 25?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So 24 going on 25. So that was, so I'll backtrack just a little bit. We bought our house about 8 months before we got married. So when we were buying our house, that was really like a testimony that we were going to get married. That was just a signifying point saying this is the finish line is closer. Right. And so,
well, even not to cut you off, but again, my dad's a pastor and my mom being a pastor's wife. And so once I told them, hey, we're moving in early, like instantly it's like, whoa, like you ain't supposed to move in. And it's like, no, there is a plan. That's really what it was. Shack. No, there's a plan. We're trying to figure out like when we wanted to
Yeah.
get married. Like we
didn't know what we wanted.
I think we were engaged for about 6 months. I was less than that because we got engaged and then I was like, oh, I'm going to move to Temple with you.
So maybe like 3 months, we started the process.
Yeah.
We had been engaged for just a few months. And I think our parents really weren't expecting anything. They were just like, oh, okay, you know, they'll have a couple of years to get married and plan a wedding and all this stuff. And so when we came to them and just kind of said, oh, yeah, we're looking to buy a house, they were like, okay, hold on, pump the brakes on this shit. Like, what's going on?
See, but my mom was always, you stay in the house as long as you need to, save up money, do what you need to do. Don't buy an apartment. Like, save up, get your money, buy a house. Like, invest in a house. It's a great investment. And so that was always my thing was I'm buying a house once I moved out. And so that was part of the reason why we ended up. I mean, that's how I knew I was ready to get married to her was when I was thinking about my house and what I wanted, it was always, hey, well, what are you interested in? And it was, we clicked on certain things where it was like, all right, we don't want a 2-story house. We don't want to deal with that. We want a 1-story house. And so once I started addressing, hey, what are you looking for in the future? Where are you wanting to live? Like, are you trying to stay in Texas for the rest of your life? That's when I was like, all right, you're hitting some deep stuff. And it's like, you need to start, not even you need to, it's like, this is obviously the person you're trying to be with for the rest of your life.
That's how y'all figured y'all were meant to be for each other.
Yeah.
To get married and all that from just those type of situations like we was talking about earlier. We was talking about the confirmation that comes from certain directions. The universe will send it to you. God will tell you, hey, look, do certain things. Like, this is confirming that you're on the right track. Just keep going.
Yep.
So
I'm sorry, back to your original answer. You were talking about going on your parents in Oklahoma.
No, I was talking about our parents and just like in our relationship. Okay. So we got our house and my mom, really both of my parents. So I have a mom and a stepdad and a dad and a stepmom. So both of my parents were just kind of questioning and wondering, like, do you think this is the right decision? Like, do you think that you're a little young for this? And because I was still going into school, I was working on my master's. And so I didn't know really what I was going to be when I grew up. Right. And so we were dealing with a lot of just unwanted guidance that was, even though it was loving and it was kind and it was how our parents were showing that they were worried for us, was very stressful at the same time.
I think it was also, especially from your parents' side, it was the age difference. So there's a 6-year age difference. So what, you're 27 right now. Okay, so we'll make sure. 27 right now. I'm about to be 34. And so at that time, I think her mom, I understood, like, it was stressful, but like dealing with it because I was so used to, naturally parents are like, oh, you're the perfect guy. Like, you're great. You're amazing for my daughter. But this was the first time where mom was giving me pushback. And I'm like, dang, like, why she don't like me? Like, I ain't done nothing. Like, and she's pushing educate. Like, I do everything for her to go to education or to pursue her education. And her mom is like, I don't want kids. Like, that was one of the last things right before we moved in together. Her mom was like, I don't want y'all having kids. And I'm like, we don't even think we want kids at all. And so I'm like, you ain't got nothing to worry about there. And then it's like, well, I want her to be in school. And I'm like, I promise you, like, we're making this work. Like, that's why I'm heading down the highway, driving from Fort Worth to Temple to be with her. And it's like, whenever I do visit, it's helping out with things that she needed. So I saw her mom's side, but it was stressful. There were times where I'm just like, yo, like, I need you to tell your mom to chill out. Like, she's hitting it right now.
Yeah.
But you know, like I was telling, not to cut you.
No, you good.
Man, but like I was telling Brandon, man, you know what I'm saying? I got something I'm working on, man, in a book. And I was talking about, it's coming. Telling you. So I got something I was talking about where I was talking about, like, we all have a narcissistic trait. And a lot of people are like, but we do. Like, some people they don't want to wear that jacket, but we do. We really do. You know what I'm saying? Because if you think about narcissism, people just want to be in control all the time. A narcissistic person want to control everything. And how many of us don't? If we can be in control of everything in our life, we would. That's why some people have kids and they still try to tell them how to live their life when they're already out of high school and they live in no, I don't think you should. That's that narcissism. You tapping into that narcissism. You see what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of people we all have it, but it's a lot of people that's actually operating in it too on a daily basis. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, all of us have that trait. It's
Yeah.
just we not tapping into it every day.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
Y'all
So when your parents come like that, it's just, you got to remember that. Like, man, we just want to make sure they still want to be in control. They say they letting go, but they really not.
Yeah.
I can say
You know
for
what I'm
my
saying?
mom, it was really, and I love my dad too, but it's really, I grew up with my mom. My dad is actually my stepdad, but he's always been there since I was younger. But my mom, it was, I don't want you making the same mistakes I made.
That's what I was about to ask.
And so that's what it really was with me, where I looked in growing up, it was, I'm going to do everything better than what you did. Not to say you did stuff wrong,
Right.
but it was, I want to, you bought your house at this age, I'm going to buy mine earlier. You struggle, or you had me while you were still in college. I'm not going to have a kid while I'm in college.
Right.
I'm going to wait until I'm married before I have, or if we do decide to ever have kids, I'm going to wait and have kids after I get married. And so there were certain things, just personal things on my end where I'm like, I just want to do stuff better. Not saying you did stuff wrong, you made your mistakes, or you did what you did, but I just want to do certain things in my life a little different.
Right.
Were your parents married early?
Yeah. My mom and my dad, I don't know. I think my mom was like 24 and he was like 22, 23, 21, something like that. They had me and then they got divorced when I was almost 2, I think.
Okay.
I really don't remember, obviously, right? I was a young baby. So all I remember is my mom meeting my stepdad and them getting married and him also being a part of my life in addition to my dad and my dad being married to my stepmom.
You felt like that was the primary reason for them thinking you were doing it too young? Because they made mistakes young? Or?
I think I was gonna say I don't know if it's a mistake, but I think like no, because that's actually what I was thinking about.
That mirror reflection though. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, oh, I made these mistakes. I don't want you. Some people, not to cut you off.
Yeah.
I still want to hear what
Yeah.
your answer is.
Yeah.
But so many people, even our parents, their parents, it's like they want us to live our lives through theirs or like whatever they done. Like,
It's like they get a
what
second chance.
Yeah,
especially
Yeah,
with children
yeah.
and
push it through you. Like
Yeah.
Sometimes they like
I
push
have
you
that
out the
choice.
way.
Yeah. Yeah.
choice to be me and do me. Like,
Absolutely.
and think for myself.
Absolutely. And that's actually, so I was trying to figure out how do I connect that. So what I was thinking about was how we nowadays are breaking the generational trauma of our parents, of our grandparents, of our great grandparents. And so it's not, I don't want to say the mistakes that our parents made, but let's think about it this way. We're making better decisions than they did. They're making better decisions than their parents did.
Right.
And their parents made better decisions than their parents did.
Right.
And so there's, so actually before we got started talking, we were just kind of chatting, getting everything set up. And I said, there's opportunities in all kind of situations, right?
Right.
There's opportunities in all kind of situations.
Yeah.
So I think that the decisions that they've made and that they've just kind of shown us throughout our lifetime growing up, we've been able to learn from them and say, okay, this is what we're going to do, right? This is how we're going to break those chains.
Yeah.
This is how we're going to progress forward. So you actually bring up narcissism. There's a book I'm reading right now called The Road Less Traveled. And it's from the 1970s. And it talks about like problem solving tips for spiritual growth. It's very like psychology and philosophy related. And in it talks about love and it describes what love is. Love is selfish and selfless. So the love that you have is both for you, but also for the people in your life. And so there's moments where I'm showing him love or I'm trying to show him love. And it's actually love for myself that I'm showing him that I want him to validate me for. Right. So I'm asking him to not be himself, but to be me, to be that mirror reflection that you bring up. There's actually a video he sent me the other day that talks about that he sent it through TikTok. You sent it while I was gone this past weekend.
Oh, okay.
So it brings up being a mirror reflection. Who you are in your marriage is what your spouse is going to show you. So
that's deep. I love that. And I want to say this. I got to piggyback on.
Yeah.
I got to.
Yeah.
I say this all the time.
Can you say that one more time real quick?
Say that again real
Oh,
quick, and then I'm gonna piggyback off that.
Horrible, perfect recall memory. Okay, so
I put her on the spot. She's like, shit.
exactly. Just rewind the tape 15 seconds. You'll get it. No. So who you are in your relationship is who your spouse is going to be, who they're going to show you.
Okay.
Yeah.
They are.
So that, with that being said, there's another connection to that too. The same way you say who you are in your relationship is who your spouse is going to be towards you. There's also the person that you grow to become is the person that you're going to attract to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So like if you're looking for somebody with these certain type of qualities, you have to adapt those qualities within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because everything is a reflection. Everything is magnetic. Everything is energy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be this type of person, to be this way in your relationship, you have to be that person before God even connect you.
Right.
You have to be that person as far as your qualities and your characteristics. You have to be that person. So that type of person will attract to you.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I think that's how I met my wife.
Absolutely.
You know
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's why the stars lined up the way they did, because the direction I was going as far as my decisions and who I chose to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? That's dope shit though.
I also think it's taking time to, like, even before I met her,
Right.
I was kind of in a narcissistic way
Yeah.
because I was trying to finish up school and I was like, all right, all this BS that's around me,
Right.
I got to stop. Like me hanging out, going out, traveling and all that stuff, seeing my boys. Like the last trip I took driving back from Houston, I'm like, this isn't where I want to be. So I got to click into something.
Yeah.
So I turned into a very narcissistic. Some people would even say, even when she met me, I seemed just angry.
Right.
But it was, I was so focused on, I was so focused on just
Bowser,
getting to that
but like rated R.
Yeah. Okay.
just getting to that next level in my life where I was like, I've been in school. I had to though, but I was like, I have to think about me first. And so when my friends are like, "Hey, let's," and I'm like, "No, like I got school. I got to finish this up, and I got to go to work." And so I know when meeting her, she was probably like, again, he's just the meanest thing walking.
He's an asshole.
But then I just graduated, and it was like a relief where I'm just like, oh, I can click back into being around and being with my friends and being myself again. But it did. Yeah, she came right afterwards, and it was just the weirdest thing because
the perfect timing though.
Mm-hmm.
It really was.
Let me ask you this though. let me say this, because this is some real shit. Y'all getting deep now. Y'all getting deep. So think about this. What if she was already there and you was tapped into that narcissistic trait right there at that time, just because you felt like you had to do that for you, and that would have been just enough to push her away,
right?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Who would I, if I would be with anybody at that time?
Ooh, man.
Where would I be right now?
You
if
see
I
what I'm
had
saying?
not
Yeah.
If you had not did it before, what if the timing was just like, instead of being right on time like it was, what if it was like she was pushed up in there already?
Right.
Man, like how would a person balance that? Like, do I need to hold on, let me check myself.
So we'll actually share something. A couple months after we met, I was moving down here to Central Texas from Fort Worth for school. So I was moving 2 hours away from where he was, where my family was. And we weren't girlfriend, boyfriend. We weren't title official. We weren't anything like that. We were just talking and flirting and just kind of
just hooking up.
Hey, that's what it got to start from somewhere.
Yeah, that's really what we were doing.
I was like,
we were just talking.
I'm leaving here soon, and I'm just like, I just got out of this mode, and it's not being a whore, but it was just.
So I left and he took it really hard. Yeah. So I left, he took it really hard. And a couple weeks after me being gone, we finally just kind of sat there and I teased him. I think I texted you like, so what, you're not going to ask me to be your girlfriend or something? Like something like that. You were going on a trip with your boys again. And I was like making a joke about him hooking up with other girls. And I was like, well, if you're not going to be hooking up with other girls, then, why am I not your girlfriend yet? And so just like what you talk about, what if there was that moment that, we had decided, well, we aren't going to be together. We don't want to pursue this to be together. Absolutely. I think that would have been it. If that was in question, that would have been that time.
Right.
And that was
Right.
8 years ago this August. So we'll celebrate our 8-year anniversary of being together this August.
Like, motherfucker, they be having a month a day
She
without.
nah,
Yeah.
What I was wearing.
I can tell you, if I go
What
through my
food
phone,
you
I
ate
can
that
tell
day?
you like the
Like-
screenshot exactly.
I'm about to say,
Yeah.
Women tell by the pictures. They
I'm
scroll.
talking-
Yeah,
right
exactly.
Right
Yeah.
here, and they can find it 12 years ago. Like, see, it was June 12th.
Exactly.
I forgot about
How do you
that
find that
already.
on
Yeah, I
10,000
forgot about
photos?
that. I love you now. Don't worry about
We
that.
are terrible
you
with
know the day
days.
we started dating?
August 27th.
25th.
Ooh, it was
See,
close.
I get it wrong every single year. I get it wrong because my birthday's the 21st.
21st.
Okay.
So my birthday's the 21st. Oh my gosh, I've got so many dates to remember. I started grad school in August. I
Right.
started my
Yeah.
undergrad in August because
It was busy.
those are all like very important moments
Yeah,
for me.
for
I
sure.
was getting into the programs that, has really set up my career for now, helped set up our life actually
Yeah.
the past couple weeks. So I haven't told him openly, but the last couple weeks I've been dropping hints of buying our next house, buying like
Okay.
land and
Right.
just
He's like, I'm gonna
elevating.
take it.
Yeah. He's like,
Pop them hips.
So I've been dropping them because I know that that's just like then. Those were moments where they meant a lot to us, just like
Right.
that. They're a lesson for us to view and question, can we handle this? Can we handle this, especially with the support and the foundation of our faith?
Right, for real. I like that. And then, you got to remember, like, them Kodak moments, man, they don't come every day.
Mm-mm.
You got to create them moments, man.
Yep.
For real. You're going to look back on it one day because you got to think, like, when you're 80 years old, you got something to look back on. You know what I'm saying? Think about the people who thought they were going to be with that person for the rest of their life and it didn't last like they thought it would. They ain't going to have them moments, man.
Mhm.
So speaking of faith, like how big is that play a role in your relationship? Faith and religion. Did y'all have two different religions when you met?
I would say it's a huge role in my life. Like that's my
Yeah.
foundation. So when I'm like going through something, I'm like, God is talking to me. Like something's going wrong or something's not right. Or especially like the last month and a half, I'm like, I don't feel myself. Something like God is trying to show me something,
Mhm.
but I need to figure out or I need to take time to listen to him. And we actually just had a comment the other day because we've been not
Tra-
going to church.
We've
but
been traveling and
yeah.
doing all these sorts of things that we haven't put our faith forward
Yeah.
like we
Right.
usually do.
Right.
And so it was one of those things where I'm like, I just told her last week, I'm like, hey, we got to get back in church
Mhm.
because I think God is talking to me and trying to lead me somewhere. And I'm very, she's very like making a decision. She'll just go.
Yeah.
I'm one where I'm just hesitant. I'm like, all right, is this what I'm supposed to do? Like whether
Right.
even us moving
She's
down.
already in the building.
Yeah, and I'm just like,
It's fun. Come on.
but I'm always like, all right, my next move has to be my best move. And
Right.
so
I feel
anything
that too.
I've
Gotta be
done, like,
calculated.
yep.
Yeah, I feel
And
that
so
too.
taking my next job, like even my new position I started back in August, I'm sitting there and I'm like, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing, God?
Right,
and
right.
I'm like, you've been stressing over the last couple months and everything just set up just right. And then the right person come to tell me stuff. And I'm just like, all right, I guess I'll make this move. And I
Right.
remember like after the interview, I'd always joke and I'm like, I don't take L's when it comes to an interview. Like I know how to
Right.
sell myself.
Yeah.
But that one interview, she was like, how'd it go? And I was like, hey, I think I might have took the L on this one.
Right, right.
And
Took
then
my
all of a
first
sudden,
L.
yeah, it really was. And then all of a sudden they were like, hey, nah, we want you. And I'm like, dang, never mind.
Right.
Still
Streak
undefeated.
continues.
I want to say this though because I try to stress this out because like we said we've been raised to where our parents we've been in church and they've been doing this for a long time and things like that. Someone in our family was in touch with God and going to church. Even if it wasn't your mom or your dad, somebody.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? But they were taught a certain way to believe a certain way. And a lot of time they go from a tradition. Well, my dad or my grandfather, whoever, been going to church for 40 years. And it's
Mhm.
like subconsciously they're not realizing that they following the tradition and
Mhm.
not actually following God.
Yeah.
Because just because my parents did it for 40 years, I need to go.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And they not in tune and in touch with their spiritual side.
Yep.
So I just wanted to touch on that. What you said, we got to get more close. When wherever you go, God's supposed to be with you.
Yeah.
You don't have
Yeah.
to, because the church is the people, not the building anyway. So
Yep.
with you two or more gathered, God with y'all. If as long as y'all got it, in your
Mhm.
heart. and you praying about it, and you can pray in your car before you get out and go to a restaurant to eat, whatever, God's there. So just don't ever feel like, you letting God down as long as you know where your heart is at.
Exactly.
And I want to say that to people because a lot of people feel like, discouraged and like, life ain't going to be good for me because I'm not going to church. You might not be able to make it.
Mm-hmm.
So take God with you.
Exactly.
Yeah, church isn't a building.
Yes. It's the people. Absolutely.
That's just something to think about. Man.
Absolutely.
People will shame you if you don't like go to that building.
Yeah.
God isn't only in that building.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's not across the street too.
Like, I'm saying, come on. How you gonna tell me your church better than mine, but we serving one God?
Exactly.
Like, get out of here.
Exactly. So
you feel what I'm saying?
So I'm right now doing a little bit of research. So I guess I'll share a little bit of what I do. I won't give too much information, but just a little. I'm a mental health counselor. So I am doing constant research into mental health and what is like the new topic every week or every month, because so many people, especially on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, oh my gosh, they're sharing so much information that no matter where you land in your belief system, you're going to find information that confirms what you believe, but also gives you a new perspective, right? And you always want to be learning a new perspective, a perspective that's different than your own. So I'm listening to a person called Dr. Jordan Peterson, and he's a evolutionary psychologist. He's a little controversial. So one of the things that he had mentioned in one of the interviews he did with Joe Rogan, he talks about how and I got to get back to my point because my mind started to go elsewhere. I have ADHD, so my mind will sometimes just sit here and say, "You're going to think about this now."
I think she did though. She's very intelligent.
So thank you. Remind me, what were we talking about before I started to talk? Yes.
Oh wow!
I got to get back to it. Religious. Yes. Thank you. The spirit. Yes. Yeah. So he mentions in that podcast, he mentions that the spirit is a part of God and a part of God's message that we have lost listening to. Wow. So the spirit is always with us. It is always around us. Right. If you look at the scripture in the Bible, no matter what version you're reading to or listening to, it mentions one story, Moses going up the mountain and seeing the bush on fire, right? Right. That is the spirit. That is the spirit with him sending a message and showing him a message. Right. And if we take the time here today in our experiences that we have, we too will see the spirit, hear the spirit, learn from the spirit. And that message that you talk about hearing in your heart, absolutely. For some, you'll feel this like butterfly feeling in your stomach, right? And this is how I know that I'm doing something, as he mentions, just kind of taking off with my decision. Yeah. I know I'm doing something right.
I think the spirit is just confirmation.
Absolutely.
That's how God talked to you.
Mm-hmm.
Confirmation. He talked to you through people. Like you might say something I was thinking about earlier, just like in the last podcast.
All the time.
That's God working through him saying, "Hey, look, you on the right track. Just go that direction." You know what I'm saying?
He's got this like book deal he's working on, right?
Yeah.
That we ain't really like talked about publicly. So we was talking like off camera, away from the guest that we had last night, about specific numbers. Mm-hmm. And we did the taping like an hour later. And this guy's like,
he said,
you don't want to do
number,
this number and take away from that. And I looked at him like,
same
exact number about the same exact situation. He had no idea that we talked about this.
That's confirmation. That's like
yes. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
But I think we mess up with, there's times where we're so busy and we're not actually focused and taking the time to actually, like, there's times where I'm just at the house by myself and I'll just sit there in silence with the dogs. And that's just my time of just, whether I'm praying or just thinking. Because I gotta, like, even this week, I was getting frustrated because it was just too much noise going on. And I'm like, I can't think. Right. And so there's times where I'm just by myself and I'm like, all right, even driving by myself, I'm like, perfect time to just sit there and think and sort out what I need to do. And so there's times where I tell her, I'm like, my brain is like a filing cabinet and I have everything filed away. But there's times where I get so frustrated because I feel like someone just went inside my brain and threw all the papers everywhere. And I'm like, I can't think right now. So originally, like, what's going on a point on this was we have to sit there and take the time to slow down and actually think about our decisions. Because I think we sit there and we're just moving 24/7 and we're not thinking.
Like that. It's like go. Everything's on the schedule.
Yep.
Like getting here, setting this up,
and your
other
routine, and
person,
it's
the
just
next
like, because I
person.
always do
Yes.
this at this time, and I do this, and then one little thing goes wrong, and it's just like, maybe that was supposed to happen to keep something else from happening to you.
Yeah,
So,
Mhm.
people have to remind me of that.
Yeah,
I
that's
tell
true.
people a lot of times, like, I get sleep, but I don't get rest.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm laying in bed, I'm
yes.
It's like 1,000 things. And I like how you use the
Mhm.
filing cabinet analogy.
I like that.
That's
too,
how I
man.
think about it. Because I have everything in order,
Mhm.
but then sometimes something happens. You got to move,
You gotta
G
move
up to
something.
B,
Yep.
and move B to
Yeah.
C,
Yeah,
and
like
go get
that.
Z. And, that's important. I got to do that.
like, I can't
Mhm.
explain it to somebody. Like, they're sitting there, and they're like, well, how did you? And I'm just like, I don't know. My brain is just working, and I'm like, I moved this here, and then this here, and I'm like, I don't got time to explain it to you. It's just going to work out.
Yeah.
And so,
Right.
Sometimes I feel like it takes me away from the room. Like if I'm in here talking to y'all and I'm not fully engaged with y'all because I got 1,000 things going on here. Like, oh, okay, at 9 I gotta do this.
Yep.
At
Yeah.
10, I need to call my wife. Now, my daughter has homework. And, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I need
Yeah.
to be here
Sometimes
in the room.
you have
And
to do
sometimes
that,
people are just
Yeah.
talking to me. Especially me being a barber, like I'm not always taking it in. I'm just kind of like, bullshitting with them.
you hearing,
I
but
hear
you
you.
actually listening.
Yeah.
Yes.
They might have said
Yes.
10 things, you only heard 2.
Two of them.
Right.
Yeah.
You think
Yeah.
about something. Yeah, I understand. You don't know what they
you
So,
said.
you get fillers like,
Yeah.
what? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I haven't heard anything.
That's literally what I joke about at work, because they're like, I'm like, whenever I'm not interested, well, I shouldn't say now, I'm not interested.
Now they gonna know.
That's what we joke about it, because
On
I'm
the
like,
spot.
I go,
He on the spot, got him
for
on the
real?
spot.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And they
That's
just
how I know
keep
he's not listening to me. I'm like,
Right,
Jesse, what?
Like, what? Oh, for real? Like, what?
Yeah.
No, she did that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Didn't know what she said.
Yeah.
Don't know none about the
Or else she'll sit there and she'll like,
A couple days
what
later,
did you hear about it? And I would say, I cut them immediate stuff. Like, I used to joke with her. I'm like, I just filter out the bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
I get the important stuff,
Right, right.
and I catch it real quick, and I'm good from that point.
Right.
But
I feel like we do that with women anyway. No offense. To
oh yeah,
you.
oh
Like,
yeah, oh
when
yeah.
y'all tell us about your day, we're taking out, okay.
Yes.
Kyle was an asshole. He did something with your lunch.
You taking
I missed all the bullshit in the middle.
the middle bullshit.
And I think I have a solution
I'm getting the
for
key
you.
stuff. I
Which
was
is where
getting
we
stuff.
fuck up at.
that's where
I
She
was-
doesn't want a solution.
She just wants you to listen. That's all.
Yeah.
But
Solution,
that's
that's one
it.
little list.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
like, why don't you just keep the lunch in your car?
Let's keep
Like,
points.
it's very simple.
Yep.
That's not the point.
I said,
Points Kyle's an asshole. You know?
I said that was like our first couple years of living together,
Yeah.
where it was just, I instantly go into like fix it mode. And she's
Yeah.
like, I don't want you to fix it. I just want you to listen. And I'm like,
Yeah, let it marinate a little
but it
bit.
sounds like you want it fixed.
You're like,
So
but
I'm
it's so easy to fix.
Yeah.
all you gotta do is move this here and then leave it this time. And it's like, that's not what I wanted. And I'm like,
I call it speaking wife.
Yeah.
You gotta learn how to speak wife.
But you know what? I like that. I like
They got
that.
their
But-
own
but
language.
Their own language, bro.
Yeah.
And expect us to understand it, but they ain't teach us. You know what I'm saying? Come on,
It's not
man.
going to be direct. You're going to have to read my mind.
But I
Yeah.
will say this though, man. Over a period of time, man, it's like
You learn it.
you really you start to learn your soulmate, and then you start realizing like what they need and when they need it without them even telling you.
Yeah.
When you could connect in that on that level and you got that type of energy flowing,
Yeah.
then you on point.
That's a nice
Mhm.
little space.
For real, like, cause it's like
Yeah.
they don't have to say anything, but you
Even
can
the
still hear
small
'em,
stuff.
well,
Mhm.
even we
You
just
still hear
recently
them.
went on a trip with our friends. And I remember we went golf. The guys went golfing, girls went out doing their thing. I came back to change, get ready for that night. I remember leaving, or we were about to leave, and I said, "Did you eat?" So she's one where she eats like every hour and a half.
Yeah.
It don't matter. Like even this morning, like she made breakfast for me, her cousin, and her cousin's girlfriend.
Mhm.
And so she went out, she came back, and she's like, "Man, you want lunch?" And I'm sitting here like, "Bro, I'm still full from."
Yeah.
I can eat one meal and I'm good,
Good.
like to go for the rest of the day. Like there's times I have to make myself, but
Yeah.
we were on that trip and I'm like, "Hey, did you eat?" And she's like, "No, I hadn't eaten." And so I was like, "All right." So it's just a filler. I'm like, "All right, I gotta remember that." So we go out and then all of a sudden
Dinner got pushed back like 2 hours,
Oh,
2.5
wow.
hours.
How
Hungry.
she gets, I'm just like,
So
and
Brittany
so I
comes
have to
out.
message her,
Yeah.
and we're waiting in San Antonio traffic, and I'm like, I sent her a message, and I'm like, "Hey, I don't think we're gonna make it to this dinner on time."
And he's like, I hope you brought a snack. And I look over and I reach into my purse and I'm like, I got a snack.
And, so
And
it's
I'm
simple
eating.
things like that
That's a
where I'm just
lifesaver.
like,
Yeah.
where most people will be like, "Well, why did you?" And I'm like, I just know her. Like I know instantly, if she ain't eating, her mood's gonna change, and then her being mad about this is gonna make me mad, and then also we're arguing, and then she finally eats, and then she's sitting there looking at me like, "Why are you mad?" And I'm like, "She pissed me off earlier. I ain't did nothing wrong to you. You pissed off because you ain't ate." But
that's a real
that's
thing.
a plus in marriage though, like understanding that and knowing that, man.
Mm-hmm.
And like, when you think about it, man, if you turn all the lights off right now, if we turned all the lights off right now, we couldn't even see each other. We could just hear each other's voices. Our souls will be speaking. We're really not visible in color or skin and any of this.
Yeah.
Until the light comes on. And when the light comes on, then we come to be.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So
I keep hearing that.
So when you look at it from that perspective, it's like, who you're connected to, far as your soul is connected to, is like the color really don't matter.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying? But I will say, like, it has to be a good understanding between you and that person when you're in a relationship that's interracial, because there's always going to be differences on each side.
Yep.
And sometimes, like you said, that's why I said I respect how you came, because some people will try to make themselves understand something that they can't understand.
Right.
How can you understand what it is to be this culture or this race or this whatever when you never been in that puddle of mud before?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of trying to understand it, just respect it and try your best to learn from it and understand it and show that person that you value them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you do it from that perspective, it's more real.
Yes.
You feel?
I like how she seems like so open to, understanding it, even though it may be like a Black issue.
Yeah.
Because the problem I usually have with white people is them being dismissive of it. Like it's not a problem or it's not happening at all.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like how you act like racism is not a thing. Like I know you see it. No matter how rich you are, you still see it.
And also from no matter what point of view you're seeing it from, right? Whether you're the person who's doing it to a Black person, a Mexican, an Asian person, an Islander, whoever it is, you are going to see this situation or an experience, and you have to come to understand that that's real, right? There's truth in that. And a lot of people just don't, they don't want to do that. It's not, especially in this culture nowadays, it's not safe to, right?
Yeah.
It's not safe to be who you are, because a lot of people aren't going to accept you for that. They don't want to.
Yeah.
I think it's just no matter what though, because like a lot of people, that's the problem with, I think, this generation right now, and with, how things are now. People are so in tune with trying to tap into the culture that they forget to stay tapped into themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You got to stay tapped into who you are no matter what's going on around us.
Mm-hmm.
This is me. If you can't accept me, that's cool. But I feel like whatever lane you create for yourself is your lane. So eventually it's going to be somebody that's relative to you, to what you're going through or who you are or whatever you're doing. And they going to end up linking in with you on what you got going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
They're
I
going
will
to tap
say,
into you.
I work in the school system. And so it's one of those things where I got into it because I wanted to work with kids
Right.
that look just like me, or minorities just in general, where it's
Right.
help them know, like, you don't have to be an entertainer. You can still be successful. Like, even when they see me, they're like, "Hey, you got these new shoes on." And I'm like, you can still rock and have these certain outfits on and still look good. But even when I'm working with minorities, I sit there and I'm like, look, you can't talk to white people or anybody this certain type of way, especially white people, because let's be real, like, they usually run a lot of majority of the businesses and whatnot. And so I sit there and I'm trying to teach kids that, especially minorities, is you have to be able to, I hate to say it like this, you have to play the game. Right. And so I think I've learned, and I got a handful, and I can speak for you, where it's like, we know how to go in to certain places and play that game. And it's not me being like, some people sit there, oh, you being fake. I'm not being fake. I know what I need to do to advance. And if I need to sit there and speak my mind, I know how to do it in a professional way. But I also know if I'm around certain people that aren't open to it, I've also learned to just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna want to listen to it. They're not gonna want to hear it.
No matter what, their mind is already made about how they feel about you or what they see or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta be versatile. And people that say stuff like that, like, oh, you acting fake and all that, they just trying to box you in that category because they can't move in different rooms.
Right.
Mhm.
They just refuse to
I
move
love
in
that
those
though.
rooms. Like,
Yeah.
they're capable
Yeah.
of doing it,
I love the way you
but they refuse to do it because they're just like, oh, well, I don't want to sell out, or I'm not gonna. And it's not like I always tell my kids, I'm like, I got a wife I gotta take care of, I got dogs I gotta take care of, I got a house I gotta pay for, and so I gotta work a certain type of way to advance to get to the places I want to be in my life. And so
There's a phrase that I commonly use with my people that I'm working with that I say, be uncomfortably comfortable. Right. So be uncomfortably comfortable. So put yourself in situations and experiences that are going to test your limits, that are going to grow you.
I like that though.
Yes.
You
Yes.
can't grow in that comfort zone.
That's how you don't know
Just
what
gonna
level
stay
you
there.
can go to or can't go to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You ain't gonna never know if you don't test yourself.
right.
Absolutely.
Do y'all have any like tips and tricks for couples? Make it past the 5 to 10 year mark?
Man, we're
I'm gonna ask y'all individually.
Like how far in are y'all anyway?
8 years?
So together 8 years,
Eight, nine?
married
Dating or married?
3.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
dating 8, married 3.
Okay.
So I will say one thing that helped us is we went to couples counseling as soon as we bought our house and moved in. So we started couples counseling
I like that.
the same June, and we went June to January. No, February. February. We got married that January. So we got married and we ended couples counseling, and we ended saying, okay, we feel like we've got a good way of understanding how we communicate to each other in arguments, right? When we're trying to both validate each other, but ask something of each other. Cause that's the point, right? You're trying to get something from your spouse. And so, almost making you seem like I'm trying to get things from you. Not that way, but yeah, absolutely. We're all selfish to some degree, and we all want love to some degree. And so we went to couples counseling and we learned how to talk to each other. And so how to sit there and say, this is what I'm asking from you, or this is what I'm needing from you. I just don't know how to say that. I don't know how to portray that, right? Because a lot of the times, I don't want to say that you got angry and just put you in this position, but he expresses his frustration with his body language and getting very loud and outspoken.
like, but that was something I always heard in my house.
Mhm.
So it took her, like even her going through the counseling program and me hearing her and her friends talk, like I picked up certain things. Dre and I always talk about it, like even when they were going through, like we pick up certain things and we're talking later on and we catch ourselves and we're like, oh, you heard that from Courtney? And I'm like, yeah, I heard that from me. And so it's things like that, but no.
Yeah.
Continue.
Hey, I just wanted to say something though, because you know what you said was so real. How you said when y'all bought y'all house, then y'all went to counseling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's crazy because like the way the system is set up and the design is crazy because they'll make you take a test to get a driver's license, but they'll marry you just like that if you go to the courthouse.
Yep.
Without trying to test you to see if you're meant to be with each other.
Yep.
Right.
If y'all meant for each other.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a
So
good idea.
So you know what I mean? But for y'all to do it like that, I commend that. But if you didn't do it that way, I would say this, you know what I'm saying? And this is why I got a lot of respect for my wife, because we're willing to have conversations and communicate about things.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know how to talk to each other.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest issue right there. If you don't know how to communicate, one thing we don't do, if I have a situation and she has a situation where we disagree and we don't agree on the same thing, we never go to bed mad at each other. Never.
Mhm.
Yeah,
We talk about it first. I'm not going to wake up and then the next day it's like, I made you breakfast, baby. And that's my way of saying I apologize. No,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
all you did was sweep a little bit of resentment under the rug.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then it's going to build up.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day you want to explode. And then next thing you know, you might be divorced.
Yep.
So
Damn,
you got to talk
Yeah.
about it. That's just for anybody out there who's married. If you're not going to counseling and doing it the way that they talking about, which is good, that's great.
Yeah.
You have to have some type of form of good communication.
Yep.
Never go to bed
Yep.
mad at each other.
I will sit there and say that was a struggle, like at first, because I've always naturally I'm an introvert, and so
We're both introverted.
My wife
Yeah.
quiet.
Yeah, we're both introverted.
My
Yeah.
wife quiet,
Like
and she does
extrovert.
mental health.
When I
She's
can get talking about
Intro,
something,
outro.
I'll get
Okay.
extrovert.
Into
Yeah.
something, like you got her going, but me,
Yeah.
I'm watching. I got to pay attention, but naturally, growing up, I keep stuff in, and then I played sports. And so, that was my release, was I released out on.
Right.
But after sports and all that, and I couldn't play anymore, it was like, all right, what do I got to do now?
Mm-hmm.
And it was some arguments, and especially that first couple months. I would say that first year was just rough living.
They say the first year of marriage is the hardest, though.
Oh, yeah.
That was we were still engaged at that point. It was,
so if we like did the traditional way of getting married and moving in together, the same time that we moved in together would have been when we got married. So that first year of us living together, I really think about that being like our first year of being married.
COVID year too.
Oh, we got married January 2020, and like
common law. Y'all was common law.
That was COVID.
Yeah. So and at first we were like, oh, this is like, we can handle this. This is okay. This is manageable.
She had we would switch. I'd have the bedroom and she'd have the living room. We'd have our meetings. We meet in the kitchen. Like, hey, how's your day? Oh, it sucks. Whatever. Like, oh, okay. See you in a little bit. Like, it was cool, but then I was like, I think COVID went fine.
Yeah, COVID went fine. It was when we started going back to things, because I like to have my time, and my time at home, and my time at home alone.
Right.
So those three separate categories, right? We're talking about at least 50 hours a week, and there's not many hours in a week. And so me going to school, going to work, going to study groups, going to internship, doing all of these things, it was leaving only about an hour, maybe half an hour a day for us to talk and communicate and connect. That's a big piece. And so,
that's how we got the first dog. We were
that's
so much.
So that
because I was sitting there, she wasn't getting home till about 9:30 at night, and then this goes back to the whole scheduling this, and she has a regimen of going to bed at a certain time,
right?
Yeah,
and so I knew she gets home, she's taking a shower, she might ask, or I have to ask her how her day was, and then she's going straight to bed because I knew what her day was, but. I
appreciate you staying up past your bedtime.
Yeah.
I would be in bed. Hell yeah. Exactly. I got my electric blanket is heating up already, guys. I gotta go.
We're gonna let y'all out of here.
No, y'all are fine.
Before we let y'all go, I want to say this. The good thing about it was that you guys were actually really connected to each other in that moment and at that time of COVID, because COVID
tore
really
a lot of
showed
people
a lot
apart.
of people. It did.
Yes.
A lot of people who they really were. And a lot of couples broke up. And fortunately, me and my wife, we still together. And you guys are still together. Him and this one.
We got closer.
What I mean?
Yeah.
We just got closer. And it just showed you who your really friend is. You know, your friend really is. Like, that's my BF right there. You know what I'm saying? So that's a great thing. That's a blessing, man. And we appreciate you guys coming.
Yeah, we appreciate y'all being open, with all the questions, not hiding nothing, not skimming over nothing.
Nothing, man.
We didn't go too deep, did we?
I will say before we get off, it's the advice you were asking for. For me, it's okay to sit there and not, if you feel yourself getting to that heated moment, it's perfectly fine to sit there and say, hey, I need a break. Like, because I know I'm getting to a point where I'm going to lose my mind, or I'm going to say something, and I'm saying it the wrong way, but I'm going to really know how I feel. So it's perfectly fine sitting there and saying, you know what, I'm going to the gym. You know what? I'm going to go walk the dog. Or I'm going to go cut the grass, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to figure or talk about this in a better way. But
I'm still working on that. I still say it.
Look, there are times where I say it like passive aggressively, and she's like, so you mad?
I'm trying.
Yeah, like there's times where he'll sit there and say like, back the fuck off, and I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, just give me some space, and I'm like, are you joking? Like I can't tell, and he's like, he's like, no, I'm going to the guest bedroom, or like, no, I'll go outside, and I'm like, oh, okay, now you're being serious. Now you're being serious. Okay.
There's something you can listen to later, then, B.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. Like,
I'll be learning stuff from my podcast.
And I will say this: what helped us most is understanding that I'm not responsible for his feelings, and he's not responsible for my feelings. Right?
That's deep.
I'm looking for connection and I'm looking for validation, but he's not responsible for how I feel.
And that love language thing, that helped. We recently did that a couple months ago.
Oh yeah, we did it again. We did it again, and I think mine changed, but yours was still the same.
Hers is quality time. Mine is
acts of service. So I'm not an acts of service kind of person. Okay. That means I had to set my shit up. I had
to. We need to have y'all back and do a part 2 because I want to put you back on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to see him come back.
That'd be dope.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll do that thing. We'll make it happen.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
Well, again, we appreciate y'all coming through and driving all the way down here past Bailey's bedtime.
Brittany's about to come out.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Y'all stay educated. We appreciate y'all.
Man, y'all
Thank
stay
you, guys.
tapped in, man.
Y'all stay tapped in.
in.
We'll holler at y'all on the next episode. Peace.
All right, peace.
Appreciate y'all.